Uh, guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online, guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending online, right? Right. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for your wishes. And now I'm okay. Yeah, recovered. No problem. Yeah. All right. Good morning, guys. And check it what we completed in the last session. I think so. We are discussing about prerequisite part. Still in a prerequisite part we are discussing. In a prerequisite part also, what we completed there, dynamic input approaches here we are discussing. Dynamic input approaches here we are discussing there. In dynamic input approaches, what exactly the content here we understand now. Buffer reader we completed. Next one is scanner we understood. Buffer reader and scanner both we understand clearly. Next, today we have to understand console. Today what we have to understand there, no, console. Okay, all right, sir. Now let us see this console clearly. Console, another topic here. But before moving to the console, what exactly the approaches of buffered reader and scanner? We have to understand this. Let us understand this point here. If you want to use buffered reader in our applications, if you want to use buffered reader in our applications, one statement here we have to use. What is that statement here we have to use there? No, buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader, new input stream reader system dot in. This statement here we have to use if you want to use what there, buffered reader. Fine. Here we know already in is a static variable defined in a system class representing input stream object. Then after that, if you type any data in a keyboard, the data will be stored in a input stream object. The data will be stored in a input stream object. Right. If you want to get data in the form of characters in Java application, we have to convert the data from bytes representation to character representation. To convert the data from bytes representation to character representation, there we have to use like what there, input stream reader that we have to use. ఇంకొక హెడ్ ఉంటుంది కదా అక్కడ అది తీసుకురా. There we have to use what there, input stream reader. Next one, we can read data from the input stream reader, but the problem is like what there, only single character here we are able to read. Okay, at a time the total data we are unable to read, only one character here we are able to read. So because of that reason, what I am telling there, it may take number of read operations to read the complete data. So whenever it is taking number of read operations to read the complete data, performance of the application will be reduced. When performance of the application is reduced, automatically nobody will prefer to use this particular mechanism. So there, to improve the performance of our input operation, there we have to use what there, buffered reader. In a buffered reader, the total data will be stored in the form of a buffer. From the buffer, we are able to read the data. After getting the data into the buffer reader, there we are able to use two methods to read the data. What are the two methods here we have to use there? First one is read line method, another one is what there, read method. Read line method is able to read a line of text from the command prompt, total line of text. But read method is able to read a single character from the data in the form of its ASCII value. The character is also be written directly in the form of what there? Its ASCII value, not in the form of the exotic character. Right, sir. Next one, after that, there is a problem with the buffer data. What is that problem here? No. If you want to read string data, then we will not get any problem. But if you want to read primitive data from the buffer reader, there we need to go for two-step process here we have to follow. What is the two-step process here? No. First one is like what I am telling to you. Reading the data in the form of the string, then converting the data from string type to the respective primitive type. String type to the respective primitive type. All right, sir. They are the two things here. So here largely we are depending on wrapper classes. To convert the data from string type to the respective primitive type, we are depending on wrapper classes. There we have to use what they know, wrapper classes. Right, sir. So that is the problem with this particular mechanism. To overcome this particular mechanism, here we have to go for like what there is scanner. What we understood about the scanner actually, in case of buffer reader, if we want to read primitive data as a dynamic input, then we have to use wrapper classes. That's okay. But scanner is providing very good predefined libraries to read primitive data directly without using wrapper classes. To read primitive data directly without using wrapper classes. Right, sir. Scanner is a class provided by Java in java.util package from its JDK 1.6 version. Right, sir. Then what are the various steps here we required here now? Create scanner class object. Scanner is equal to new scanner, sys not in. Read dynamic input. To read dynamic input here, what we have to do there? If we want to read primitive data as a dynamic input, there we have to understand next xxx method here we have to use. Next xxx method, where xxx may be byte short int. If you want to read string data as a dynamic input, there we have to use next line, next method, next line method. Then what is the difference between next and next line method? You know, next method is able to read only single word from the data dynamic input, but next line method is able to read the complete line of data. Right, sir. After that, example already we have seen there where some of the content here we have seen. That's okay, fine. Now today we have to start like what there console. Console here we have to understand what exactly the meaning of console. What is the purpose of this console? What you are going to understand about this console here, right? Let's understand this clearly. All of you know. Here I have a question. I have a question now. Now try to understand this question clearly. All of you know. Right, sir. Right. Here I have a question. What's my question here? Right, sir. Something. Okay. Right. Now, here I have a question. What is my question here? Question only. Here my question is to take a dynamic input. To take a dynamic input, we have already buffered a reader. We have already buffered a reader. Buffered reader. Next one is after that, comma scanner. To take dynamic input, we have already buffered a reader, scanner. Then what is the requirement Then what is the requirement to use console in Java applications? Guys, now this is the point I'm telling there. To take input, we have already buffered reader, scanner. Then what is the requirement to use console in Java applications? That is my question clearly. There we have to give answer for it. Answer will be very clear. Now try to understand this answer clearly. First point, for example, if we use a buffered reader and a scanner to take a dynamic input in Java applications, is it font size is okay? Last, is it visible? Right. If we use buffered reader and scanner to take dynamic input in Java applications, then we have to consume two instructions. We have to consume two instructions for every dynamic, for every single dynamic input. Understand it clearly what I'm telling there. If you want to use buffer reader and scanner to take dynamic input in Java applications, then we have to consume two instructions for every single dynamic input. What are the two instructions, Keno? Observe carefully. 1 minute. One minute. One minute, sir. The problem number one, we have to consume two instructions for every single dynamic input. Say, for example, what I'm telling there, first we have to display a request message. System.out.print of, say, for example, username. System.out.print of username. This is for request message. Okay, this is for what they know, request message, to display request message. Next up, we are going to use an actual dynamic input, actual instruction to read dynamic input. Right there, what I'm going to do there, string uname is equal to br dot readline method. String uname is equal to br dot readline method. So what is the meaning of this particular one here now? This is the intersection to read dynamic input. This is an intersection to use to read actual dynamic input. So now tell me, for every single dynamic input, how many lines can we consume here? Two lines can we consumed. Okay, this is the problem. This is one this is one point. Second point, guys. Now I'm asking to you, try to understand it. No security for the data like PIN numbers, comma, passwords, and so on and so on. No security for the data like PIN numbers, passwords, and so on. All of you get my point or not? No security for the data like PIN numbers, passwords, and so on. Security is not possible. Okay, then I will show these 2 points here. Why security is not possible? I will show programmatically. Say for example, I want to take edit plus sir. Even Eclipse ID is not worked out for this. Not only Eclipse ID, all the IDs are not going to be worked out for this console. IDs are not supporting console topic there. So I must write the program in edit plus only. Okay, now let me write a program in edit plus. Okay? All of you observe carefully. Now here I am providing test. Class name is what their test. First understand this. What are the various steps I am using there to use this console? First I need to create console class object. Okay, before this console here I am asking there. First let me go for like what their buffered reader. Buffered reader br is equal to new buffered reader new input stream reader of system dot in. This is what I'm telling to you. Buffer data object here we created. Next after this, I'm asking to you next point here. System dot out dot println of username. System dot out dot println of username. Then user has to enter that username value so that print method here I'm using. Then I want to take this data. String uname is equal to br dot readline method. So username value here we are getting. Next one, system dot out dot println of print of password. Now here we have to get the password data also. UPWD is equal to br dot readline method. Username and password, both the data here we are getting. Username and password. Now I want to check if username and password both are Durga and Durga, then I want to make that user is valid user. If either of these username and password are both are not Durga, then I want to make that user is what their invalid user. Simple logic, not more than this. All right, sir. Now here what I will do there, if uname dot equals of Durga, small letter Durga, uname dot equals of Durga and upwd dot equals of Durga. Both are Durga and Durga. Observe carefully. Both are like what there? Durga and Durga. There I have to display valid user. Right, sir. Both. Now here I have to display like what there? System dot out dot println of valid user. Valid user. Else part. Else part. What's the meaning of this else part here? No. There system dot out dot println of invalid user. System dot out dot println of invalid user. Valid user and what next one can know? Invalid user. Right, sir. This is my program. Okay, now try to observe carefully. How many dynamic inputs here we have taken? Two dynamic inputs. How many lines of code here we consumed here? No, 4 lines of code. One is for username, another one is for what their user password. That's okay, good. Now observe carefully. I'm trying to execute this program. What's going to be happen? Now try to understand it. CD, right, sir. Java C space tester.java. Now here we are getting some error. So what is the problem here? No, buffered reader is available in which package here? Java.io package. So here what we have to provide there? Import java.io.star. Import java.io.star. Okay, that's fine. Now let us compile and execute this. Java C space tester.java equals method. Errors here we are getting there. Right, sir. If I have any problems there, we are able to check it. Java C space tester.java. Unreported exception, IO exception must be caught or declared to be thrown or not. Then what we have to do there now? Tell me, throws exception. Either we can use try catch finally, or we can use what there? No, throws exception. Right, next one. Java C space tester.java. Compiled successfully. Compiled successfully. Java space test. Observe carefully. Now it is asking username. I'm providing Durga. Enter button. Now what it is asking there? No password. It is asking. I entered Durga again. What is my password here? No, I entered. What's the password I entered here? No, Durga. Okay. Click on enter button. Status is what there? No, valid user. Now tell me what is my password which I entered here? Durga. Means that you have seen my password or not? You saw my password or not? So if we see my password, then where is the chance of providing security for my password data? Password should not be visible, right? But here when I type my password on console on command prompt, that password is visible to everybody. If I use the same application in ATM, what will happen there? PIN number, enter PIN number is asking there. User is trying to enter the PIN number. On the PIN number here, we are getting cross marks in general. But in the case, if the same buffer data scanner is used there in ATM software, whenever we are trying to enter the PIN number, that PIN number is visible on the screen or not? Our next person will see at that PIN number or not? So maybe once a PIN number is identified by any other person there, they can do anything. Understand it? So finally, what I am telling is security is not available. Password data is visible. Password data is visible on a console. So security is not available. Understand it? Exactly. In this particular situation, to provide security for our data like this password data PIN numbers, there we have to go for like what there? No, console. Console is providing security for the data. Let's observe carefully. This is a program here. What I have written now. Example code here I'm giving there. Inside this example code now here we are getting this program. Then after that on console, this total here we are getting there compilation. Then after that execution. Here I want to be specified there what there password data is visible, no security for the data. That's it. Password data is visible, no security for the data. Right, sir. That we can understand. This is my program here. Fine. Here two drawbacks here we have seen. What are the two drawbacks here? For each and every dynamic input, 2 lines of code here we have consumed. And moreover, whenever we are trying to enter the protected data, like what their password data, that password data is visible on a command prompt. Password data is visible or what they know command prompt here. So because of that reason, no security for our data at present here. All of you get my point or not? Okay, fine. Next one after completion of this. So to overcome these problems only, we have to use what they know console. Steps to use console in Java applications. Steps to use console in Java applications. What are the various steps here we are able to use to work with console here? What are the various steps here we required here? Step number one, create console object. Create console object. How we are able to create this console object actually? Console C is equal to system.console. There is a method in a system class. Create console object. Console object. Create console object. Now here we have to write one point here. What is that point here I'm telling there? Console is a class provided in Java.io package, providing Java.io package. And to create console class object, we have to use the following. We have to use the following method. Following method from java.lang.system class. That method is existed where actually in a system class only. Console class object was, see, console is a class provided in java.io package, and to create console class object, we have to use the following method. From what there? From java.lang.system class. What is this method here we are able to use there? That method is like what there? Public static console. Then after this, what next one you know? Console. Method name is also like what they know? Console. That's it. Then automatically here we are able to get that console. Now this is an example for it. Console C is equal to system.console. You know already static methods are accessed by using what they know? Class name. So by this here we are able to get like what their console object. This is step number one. Right, sir. Next one is after completion of this, after understanding this particular one, another thing is like what there after understanding this console object creation, read dynamic input from console. Read dynamic input from console. Here some points are existed. To read string data as a dynamic input, to read string data as a dynamic input, to read string data as a dynamic input, not only that, 1 minute, to display request message and to read string data as a dynamic input, there we have to use a method. What is this method here? We have to use their public string read line method where string message. Alright, sir. Now here I will give some information to you. Example code here I'm telling to you. Now try to understand this example here. Charger. Charger. Laptop. Right, sir. Here what we are providing there after this example code is string uname is equal to c dot read line of username. What's the meaning of it? No. What read line method will do here? No. First read line method will display this data on console. What are the parameter here we provided? The data will be displayed on console. After displaying the data on console, it will wait for the user input. If user has entered any input, that input data will be written in the form of what there no string. Directly that value will come to what there no uname variable. Understand my point here? So this is the method here we are going to use to read any type of data in the form of like what there no string. Just to display some request message and to get a dynamic input from the user within a single line. This in a section here we have to use string uname is equal to c dot read line of username. It will display username data. It will wait for dynamic input. When user has provided the total dynamic input and when he clicked on enter button, the total data will be taken. The total dynamic input will be stored in the form of like which variable? No, uname variable. This is normal string data, even primitive data also. Even primitive data also. Same scenario here we are able to use. Right, sir. Next point here I'm telling to you, try to understand it. To display to display to display request message to display request message and to and to read password data as a dynamic input. To display request message and to read password data as a dynamic input. What we have to use there? What exactly the method here we are using there? Now let us observe carefully. Public char array password data will be provided in the form of like what they know char array. Password data will be provided in the form of like what they know char array. Required to perform it. Understand it now? Why? Because maybe in the case of this password, maybe it is any mechanisms for while transferring password. It is somewhat of char array. It is because of that reason here char array was provided. Okay, now get the method name is like what there read password method. What is the method here we are using here? Read password method. Where here we have to provide like what there and string message, string request message. Right. Now some example here I want to see. Now try to understand this. Char array ch is equal to c dot read password of then it able to display message. What message can it able to display there? No, that message would be password. User may enter some password ABC123 or something else. That all individual characters will be stored in the form of like what they know char array. But this with this char array we can't do anything. Even though the data is available in the form of char array, we cannot do anything. So we have to convert array to Now anyway, then here what is the point I'm telling there? Two methods here we are using: read line method, read password method. Read line is for the sake of reading string data. Read password is for the sake of reading what is the password data. But whenever we are trying to enter password data, the data will not be visible for us. The data will be hidden. No data will be, even though I entered the data, but the data is not going to be visible for us. Now let us see an example on the base of this particular one. Observe carefully. One simple example here we are going to understand here. How to use this console here? Then in place of this buffer reader, some drawbacks are available. So that's why here we are not using this. Now here, first of all, here what I am telling there, console C is equal to system dot console. Console object here we created. Next one is we have to display message and we have to read the data. String uname is equal to C dot readline method of inside this readline here what I am telling there, username. How many lines of code here I have written, sir? Only one line. There itself I am displaying request message, and there itself we are getting that user dynamic input. Similarly, string upwd is equal to c dot read password. Read password. Now here user will read the data in the form of like what their password in the form of char array, but I want to convert that char array data in the form of like what they know string. So this part is returning the data in the form of like what they know char array. Only this part is returning the data in the form of like what they know char array. But after that, new string class constructor is converting the data from char array to like what they know string. Understand my point or not? So within I adjusted this total data here now. So overall here what happened here? By using these two instructions, we are able to get a dynamic input. By using these two instructions here, we are able to get a dynamic input. Now tell me, after completion of this particular one, then what next one here we have to do there? After completion of this, now here we have to prepare the remaining logic. What is that remaining logic here now? That logic would be if uname dot equals of, I want to specify Durga and upwd dot equals of Durga. Again here I'm telling there, both Durga and Durga, for example. Both are Durga and Durga. Alright, sir. Uname dot equals of Durga and upwd equals of Durga. Both Durga and Durga. Here I'll provide some information like what there. Sysnut outed println of status is what there. Status is login success, for example. Login success. Else part. Inside this else part here, what we are able to provide there we have to provide sysnut outed println of status login failure here we are able to provide. Login success and what next one, login failure. Right now this is completed clearly. Now try to understand this. Now here I have to run my program. First of all, let me compile this program here. Right, sir. Any error is coming, then I will check it. Java C space test.java console spelling, I think so. Then line number 5. No compilation error. Java space test. All of you observe this clearly. What it is asking there? No username. Durga entered. Yes, sir, got it or not? Click on enter button. Now what it is asking there? No user password here. I'm trying to enter the user password. I entered. I entered, sir. I think it's not visible. Okay, click on enter button. Here, what we are getting there now? Login success here we are getting. Okay, now for the sake of you, again I'm trying to execute the program. Observe carefully. Username. Now I'm trying to enter the username. All of you observe this clearly. Durga. Okay, click on enter button. Now what it is asking there now? Password. I'm going to enter wrong password. Something else. ABC. For example, I entered here. ABC I entered here. Clear now. Data is not visible. Data is not visible. That is a functionality of console. The password kind of data, it is a hiding. It is not visualizing the data. It is a protected data. Data is not visual. Now here, if I click on enter button, now it has to provide what they know, login failure. But of course, console is not supporting any other one here apart from this. Just only it is a hiding the data. You may ask to me, sir, in place of hiding the data, can I hide with a character? No. Then for that we have to check with the API, predefined library. But console, I think so, it has not given that much of option there now. So if you want to get there, we have to go for some UI part. In application development, where some UI technologies are available, there multiple options are available. There we have to use that. Or maybe in console also there is an option. Now we have to check it for API. But as per my search, I didn't identify any such type of method to hide the data. All of you get my point or not? Right, sir. Anyway, now this is one type of content here we have to understand clearly. So this is an example where what I'm telling there, security is provided. At the same time, for every single dynamic input, only one line of code only here we have written. So number of lines are reduced, number of intersections are reduced. At the same time, security is also be provided for our data. Security is also be provided for our data. Now these are the two things here we have to understand. Now let me take this command prompt information also. All right, sir. Now here what I want to specify there. All right, sir. Something else here we can say no. Right. So this is what exactly the meaning of like what their console. Guys, now I said to you clearly, console is not supported by IDEs now. Now let us check in our IDE here now. This is a program here we have done, last program we have done there and somewhere else no. Or else maybe let me switch to workspace here. Observe carefully. In IDE, I'm trying to show the same program, but it is not supporting for us. Why? Because in IDEs, console is available or not separately. Whenever we are getting output in IDE, that output panel, whatever the panel we have used it to get this output, that is what their console actually. So where console is already existed, where console is already existed, not required for the console again here. Right, sir. Understand this clearly. Same program. I want to execute this through IDE. Let me click on this enter button here. Observe carefully here what we are getting there now. Null pointer exception here we are getting. What is this null pointer exception here we are getting there now? Cannot invoke java.io.console readline method. Why? Because console is like what there now? Null. It is not generating any value. C is null. Why? Because C is what there? Null. What is this C actually? C is actually what there? C is actually what their console reference can. So this intersection is executed, but console object is not created. This intersection is executed, but console object is not created. Observe carefully. So why it is not created? You know, the point is like what there. These IDs are not supporting this console option. I think so. What I analyzed there, in IDs also console is available. In IDs also console is available. What is that console in IDs? No, this is console actually. Where we are getting outputs. That part is nothing but what their console. To represent this, maybe internally some console class is available. To represent this console, internally maybe some console class is available. But explicitly we are using console. Both may be matched. Because of that reason, IDs are not supporting for what they know console option. Console dynamic input is not supported by IDEs. Because of this small reason, we can understand no developer is going to use this console. Max everybody are going to use what their buffer reader and what next one no scanner. But if they want to provide some security over the data, if they want to provide some security over the data, they may go for some security mechanism separately. They're not going to be depending on like what they know on a console. Understand it, guys? What I'm telling them. Okay, maybe even though they are using console, it may not give any effect in our application. Why? Because how long developers are going to use IDE actually? Our project is going on with our project. How long it is going to be available with our IDE? Max in the development only we are using IDE. Once the product is created, once our application is ready, then we are going to create either WAR file or maybe jar file, and we are going to deploy that project into the server. Once the server is running there, automatically there might be server console will come, and the server console is able to display the data. In the case if it is not in server console, then automatically we are going to use a front end part if it is a web application. In the front end part, we are going to display the data or we are going to do something. For the sake of this console, max if you want to use that, IDs are not supported, very clear. But IDs are possible to use up to what they know, up to the development part only. Once development is completed, then when we deploy our application on the server, production server, then automatically if you want to display something or if you want to take some security related data, then we can use console also. But in the development part, it is not supported. We are unable to get any support for this console in the development part. That's why developers are not interested for it. Moreover, we are at this core Java topic only. But with this only core Java topic, preparing enterprise application assess, it's not going to be happen at any cost here. It's not at all possible here. So because of that reason, try to understand the concept, then try to utilize this topic here, try to understand it, no, but its utilization is doubtful only. We are unable to give any guarantee for its utilization. Try to recognize this particular point clearly. Right, sir. Observe carefully. Then what I'm telling to you, know, after completion of this total content, guys, after understanding this total part, then what next one here? Dynamic input approaches here we completed with this particular topic. Next one is in the buffered reader in the overall content here what we completed here buffered reader scanner and what next one here no console we completed. Then what next one here now tell me file input to stream then a file output to stream. Only these two things are remaining in IO sims here. Then after that we will go for collection framework anyway. Right sir, anyway now try to understand this file input to stream. File input to stream. What is the purpose of this file input stream? What is the need of this file input stream? Observe carefully. First of all, tell me guys, all of you now tell me, file input stream is a byte oriented stream or character oriented stream? File input stream is what there, byte oriented stream or character oriented stream? Byte oriented stream only. Okay, fine. It is a byte oriented stream. Okay, fine. Then what it will do? It's a byte oriented stream that we understood clearly. Byte oriented stream, that's okay. Then what it will do? It can be used to get to data from a particular source file to a particular source file to Java application. A particular source file to what they know Java application. Observe carefully. Similarly, I want to talk about file output stream also. At a time, I'm going to discuss about both the content here. Try to understand it now. What is the purpose of this file output stream? All of you observe carefully. It's a byte oriented stream. Understand it clearly. I'll share this document. No need to take any document here. It's a byte oriented stream. It can be used to send data from Java application to a particular target file. It's a byte oriented stream. It can be used to send data from Java application to a particular target file. Reading data from a particular file to Java program, file input stream is required. Sending data to a particular target file from Java application, what is required here? No, file output stream is required. They're the points here. Now tell me how we are going to read data from a particular source file. Then what are the various steps here we required now? If you want to understand the steps here, in this particular case now, step number 1, observe carefully. Create a file input stream object. Create a file input stream class object. How we are going to create file input stream object now? File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream of some file name here we have to provide or not? Definitely understand it no, abc.txt for example. abc.txt. First JVM will check whether abc.txt file is available or not. If abc.txt file is not available, there we are able to get file not found exception. If abc.txt file is existed, then it will not create any exception here. No. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? So first it will check, JVM will check whether abc.txt is available or not. If it is existed, it's okay. If it is not existed, then directly JVM will raise an exception. Like what there no file not found exception here, we are able to get. That's okay, fine. Next one is after that. Whenever we are creating file input stream with this abc.txt, the total data is available in file input stream. The data, total data will be taken from abc.txt to file input stream object. When the total data is copied from abc.txt to file input stream, then we have to read data from file input stream. There we have to read data from what they know, file input stream. Observe carefully. Now the data is available in the form of what they know. The data is available in the form of what they know, byte array. Why? Because file input stream is a byte oriented stream or not? Instead of the byte oriented stream, data must be available in the form of what they know, bytes only. So we have to read the data in the form of bytes or not? We have to read the data in the form of bytes or not? So for the purpose, what I'm telling there, byte array. So we have to prepare byte array first. Byte array B is equal to new byte array. Then here we need to provide some size. What is that size actually? The size should be same as the data which is available inside the file input stream or not? Size should be the data which is available inside the file input stream or not? That's why here what I am telling there, here I'm going to use FIS dot available method if I call. FIS dot available method if I call. FIS dot available method if I call, then automatically here what is going to be happening, you know? Right, sir. FIS dot available method if we call there, then what is the meaning of this particular one here after completion of this? FIS dot available method will identify how many number of bytes are available inside the file input stream. The total size will be provided. With this particular size only, byte array is created. With this particular size only, what it is created, you know, byte array is created. That's okay, guys. Now, then after that, after completion of this particular one, what next one, you know? Now I need to read data from file input stream to byte array. FIS dot read of FIS dot read of B. Data will be taken from what they know from file input stream. The total data is going to be provided to like what they know B. Now finally, my data is available with what there no B, that means byte array. Convert the data into string. To convert the data into the string here, what we have to know, string str is equal to new string of string str is equal to new string of B. Then automatically the byte array data will be converted to what there no string. There we are able to display the string data. Now not outed println of data here, we are able to get it directly. What data here we have to provide, str data here we are able to provide. Now try to understand this point clearly, what I am telling to you now. Okay, right, son. Next one is like what I am telling there after completion of this. Now the other way steps here we followed there. Now first of all here, what step here we provided here clearly. Now very first of all is create a file input sim class object. So anyway, now here we created file input sim object. This is file input sim object. Now yes, second step here what I am telling to you, after that create a byte array with the same data size, of a file input sim. How much data is available inside the file input sim with the same size, one byte array here we have to create, that we created and we provided the data. Next one, third one is like what there after this, after completion of this, read data from what they know file input stream to byte array. To read data from file input stream to read array, then what we have to do there, fis dot read of b, then the total data is available in the form of byte array. Then we have to be convert the data to what they know string. That's why here we have taken string str is equal to new string of b, then not outed println of str. Yes, sir, all of you get my point or not? Now they are the very steps here we have to do. Now almost all similar steps here we are going to use in the case of this file output stream also. No? Guys, now tell me, all of you now tell me, what is the purpose of this file output stream? What is the purpose of this file output stream? The purpose of the file output stream is to send data from Java application to a particular target file. So here, what are the various steps here we have to use there? First one is like what there? Create a file output stream class object. Observe carefully. First, what we have to create, file output stream. File output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream of file output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream of. Here we have to provide like what there, abc.txt file here we have to provide. For example, file output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream. What JVM is able to do, no? First JVM will check whether abc.txt is existed or not existed. If abc.txt file is not existed, no problem. File output stream will create a new file with the same name abc.txt. Even though the file is not available, then file output stream will create a new file with the same name abc.txt, and it will create a file output stream object. If it is already existed, if abc.txt file is already existed, then file output stream will not create any newer one. It will use the same existed one, then it will create file output stream. Yes, sir, all of you get my point or not? Right. Now this is one point. So first of all, JVM will check whether abc.txt file is existed or not existed. If it is existed, it's okay. Directly file output stream will be created. If it is not existed, then file output stream will create a new file with the same name abc.txt where data is not existed as of now. Right, sir. This is one point. Next one is after completion of this, the second point here I'm telling to you. After getting this, next declare the data and convert the data in the form of byte array. Why? Because sending data to the file output stream, in the sense which type of data we have to send to the file output stream, bytes data only. Why? Because file output stream is what there, byte oriented stream. When it is byte oriented stream, there we have to enter the data in the form of like what there, no bytes only. So that's why here first let me declare the data. String data is equal to, then what we have to do there, string data is equal to new string of String data is equal to new string of, say for example here I'm telling to you some data, Durgasoft solution, something else here we are sending there. That means we are keeping the data. This is my string data. I want to convert this data to byte array. To convert this data, entire data to byte array, here what we are able to use now, data dot get a bytes method. In a string class, there is a method. What is this method here now? Data dot get a bytes method. Whenever we are calling data dot get a bytes method, automatically we are getting the total data as like what they know, byte array. In the form of byte array here we are getting. Then after that, what next one here? Third one here no. Write a byte array data to file output stream. To write this byte array data to file output stream, then what we have to do there? FOS dot write off, FOS dot write off, then what it has to provide there? B. Whatever the data which is available in B, the total data will be written to file output stream. When data is written to file output stream, automatically file output stream will send the data to a particular target file. If you open the target file, there we are able to see the total data, whatever the data we submitted. Sir, all of you are getting my point or not? Right, sir. Now let me check these points here. All the points here I need to check now. First one is I want to go for file output stream. In the same program, I want to use file input stream to read the data. By using file output stream, we will send data to a particular file. By using file input stream, I want to read the data from the same file. So now try to observe carefully. Right, sir. Anyway, now this is not working. Now try to understand it. First of all, I want to create a file output stream. I want to send some data. File output stream FOS is equal to new file output stream of there we have to provide name and location of the target file. But as of now, I don't have any target file here. In a D drive, where is that location here? Say for example, ADV Java 7 AM. Then in this location here, I want to get it now. Maybe we can use the current location also, or maybe directly here we are able to provide some file here, or else maybe in ABC instead of this, then what I am telling there, for example, in a C drive, ABC is existed here. There I want to keep my data. In C drive, abc.java. Okay, now here what I am telling there, C colon slash ABC slash, what's the file name here? I have to be specified there. No, say for example, my file name is like what there? Some data here. Some data here I want to specify there. Welcome.txt. Welcome.txt is a file name. First of all, we have to cross check whether this data, whether these folders are exist or not. That we have to check minimum. Folders are exist or not, that we have to check. Why? Because C colon slash ABC we specified. That's the location of the welcome.txt. So first of all, we have to cross check whether C colon slash ABC is existed or not existed. If it is existed, then only the program will run. If it is not existed, the program will not run. Okay. All right, sir. Now here, what I am telling to you, after this, now we created a file output same with a particular target file. Next, I have to declare the data. String data is equal to welcome to Durgasoft. Welcome to Durgasoft. Now the string data is ready. Then if we want to transfer data through file output stream, we have to convert that string data to like what they know, byte array. So here what we have to do there, byte array B is equal to what method here we are able to use now, data dot get bytes method. Data dot get bytes method. Finally here we are getting bytes data. Now whenever we are getting this byte array data, then we have to write that byte array data to like what there, file output stream. Now here I have to use like what there, FOS dot write of byte array B semicolon. Finish, our data will be submitted to a particular target file. Yes, sir. All of you get my point or not? Then with these steps, data will be submitted to the target file. Now I want to read the same data. What are the data we submitted there? Then I want to read the same data. To read the same data, then what we have to do there? What we have to do there? File input stream FIS is equal to new file input stream or not? There we have to provide like what their name and location of the target file. What is the name and location of the target file? You know, then C ABC. Then what is this file name? You know, TXT. In the case of file input stream, there is a chance to get like what they know. In the case of file input stream, there is a chance to get an exception. In the case of file input stream, there is a chance to get an exception. Why, sir? Why we are able to get an exception? Oh, if the specified file is not existed, if welcome.txt is not existed, then there is a chance of getting like what they know exception here. But in the file output stream, there is no exception. Okay, file output stream already submitted the data. Now file input stream is trying to read the data. Now data is available at file input stream. Now how to get the data in the form of like what their byte array. So that's why here byte array bt is equal to new byte array then size care we required. What is the size care we have to provide? You know, FIS dot available method. Byte array bt is equal to new byte array of FIS dot available. Byte array here we are getting. Whenever we are getting byte array here, convert the data to string. String data 1 is equal to new string. Right, sir. String data 1 is equal to new string of bt byte array. Whenever we are providing this data, then directly here we are able to provide like what there system.out.println of data 1. System.out.println of data 1. Now here we are able to get the data, but at the end, both the resources only. So here we have to close FOS.close method. Actually, this is the meaning of resources closing actually. FOS.close method. Next one is FIS.close method. Both are almost the same. FOS.close, file output stream.close, file input stream.close. There's a closing of the resources anyway. Okay, now throws keyword we have used, that's why we are not getting any problem. But if we use try catch finally, then definitely we have to provide some content here. Right, all of you understand this? Now let me execute this part here. If I execute this part, what we are expecting there? At C:/ABC, no file is available. File has to be created. Then after creating that file, then what next one? Data has to be provided. Welcome to Durgasoft. The same data we are getting, same data we have to display on console. When I execute this program on console, we are able to get like what data? Welcome to Durgasoft. The data here we are able to get. 1 minute, guys. No data is coming. Yeah, that I have not written, right? Read operation is not performed. That's the problem here. FIS dot read of BT. Why? Because just we created byte array only, but we are not performing read operation. That's why we are not getting output. Now here we are getting data or not. Now meanwhile, in this location, file is created or not. Welcome.txt. There what data here is identified here now. Welcome to Durgasoft. The data is identified or not. That's it now. This is exactly the meaning of like what there, what I am telling to you clearly. This file input stream and as well as like what there, file output stream. If you want to send data, if you want to get the data, file output stream or file input stream, both are supporting bytes data only. Always the data should be provided in the form of like what there, byte array only. If you want to read the data from like a file input stream, there we have to use like what there, we have to use byte array. But if you want to send data to the file output stream, there also we have to use like what there no, an array here no. Understand it clearly. So reading data and sending data to a particular file or from a particular file. So this is an example here we can understand that about both. Right, that's okay, fine. So next topic is like what I'm telling the collection framework, and do one thing. collection framework topics I will discuss with you when I required in JDBC, but definitely required. I thought of it, I want to complete that. But if I take 2 days of classes, it might be completed. But anyway, no need to worry for it. When I require that collections topic in JDBC, there I will give fundamentals of collections. Then I will move on to like what the remaining part here. Okay. So we can assume it totally prerequisite part is completed. The total prerequisite part is completed. After completion of this prerequisite, directly we have to start with what they know, JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. Right, sir. So the JDBC topic I will start on tomorrow. Tomorrow directly we will start JDBC. From this point onwards, actual advanced Java content is going to be start. So try to attend for the sessions, guys. Guys, and small request. Can I take core Java class on tomorrow? Still energy levels are not sufficient. Okay. Then still one more day I'm giving their gap no. Then tomorrow I will take core Java, not today even, right? Right, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Thank you.